it was the serpent's fault, and Adam said it's that woman.
Greetings, KELP listeners. My name is Terry Gray, and I have the joy and privilege of serving as the pastor of Calvary Chapel Sun City, located on the west side of El Paso. I also have the joy of connecting with the radio audience in the borderland through the Summons broadcast heard each weekday at 5 p.m. right here on this station. On Summons, we study the Bible book by book, chapter by chapter, verse by verse, precept by precept. Please join us each weekday at 5 p.m. for Summons right here on KELP.
You are listening to KELP El Paso. Feed your mind, feed your soul at 1590 AM, 95.9 FM. Streaming worldwide at KELPradio.com.
915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media. You can visit desertvoice.media to learn more.
915 TALK.
The world is looking at El Paso.
What will we say to the world?
From the KELP studio in El Paso, this is 915 Talk.
And now your host.
Good afternoon, beautiful citizens of the borderland. This is 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Frecka. Today we're broadcasting yet again from the heart of the world's largest borderplex. We're here at the KELP radio studio in El Paso, and today we have Kenny on the board. Kenny on the board, how you doing this afternoon?
We do? Where is he? He owes me $20.
What? How you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
I would say that I'm in a state of quite unparalleled delight.
Unparalleled delight? Wow.
Yeah, and I think it's important for us to learn some new words. Yesterday we learned a new word with Mac Daddy Del Norte, and I'd like to test your vocabulary as well.
Okay.
So this is a big year for the United States. Do you know why it's a big year?
Well, it's not leap year, so it's not an extra day.
No, that's for the whole world, not just the United States.
That's true.
Yeah. How old will the United States be this year? Kenny on the board. Come on, my guy.
I'm thinking, but the mice haven't woke up in my head.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to make it easy for you. 250 years.
Okay.
Okay, so 100 years is centennial.
Yes.
200 years is what?
Is bicentennial.
Okay, what is 250? What's 250?
Bicentennial and half?
Nice try. So it's semi-quincentennial.
Run that past me again?
Semi-quincentennial. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're celebrating the semi-quincentennial anniversary of the United States this year. And you're probably wondering why I'm bringing this up right now.
Kinda.
Yeah, it's because this is the semi-quincentennial broadcast of 915 Talk. This is episode number 250, Kenny on the board. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's we're on this journey learning to love our city, love our neighbors, give God all the glory. And we've had so many interesting guests in. And today we have yet another special guest. Do you know why he's special?
He's special because he's the unique expression.
Oh, what's happening? Oh. What just happened? Is it breaking news?
I think so.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Important announcement. You can now feed your mind, feed your soul with the KELP radio app. Listen to your favorite Christian teaching and talk programs on your smartphone from anywhere in the world with the KELP radio app. You can download the app on your app store now.
Oh, wow. That sounds expensive.
Actually, I believe it's free.
Oh, wow. But probably they get you with a subscription fee.
I don't believe there's any subscription fees or commercials.
In this economy, are you telling me that KELP radio is just passing out that KELP radio app free of charge?
Yes, we are, because we have people who donate.
Yeah, well.
Or they I guess you call it. You don't call it dowry. What do you call it?
We're just saying we're giving it away, Kenny.
Okay, we're
Yeah.
giving it away because of our listeners. It's their fault.
Right. So KELP Radio, just go to your app store, download the KELP Radio app. I know some people who live kind of on the outskirts of town, and they use it just because maybe they don't have a great signal in their area. But wherever you are in the world, we do appreciate you listening, however you're listening. But you were saying our guest is the unique expression of an endlessly creative God.
Yes, I was.
Yeah, and he's also he's over at one of our KELP Impact partners,
Okay.
Border Therapy Services.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, he's a physical therapist, and we're going to be jumping into that conversation. What's all entailed in that? So
Okay.
have a lot to unpack over the next hour. So without further ado, let's give a very warm Borderland welcome to the one, the only, Randy Gutierrez. Randy, welcome to 915 Talk.
Thank you, Andy. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so you told me it's not your first time on the radio.
I've had some history with it, being in front of a camera, being in front of the radio. That's part of my background, actually.
Okay, well, you came in and first thing I noticed about you is you have a good voice for radio. So we should have a good conversation. But you say you have a background with radio and media. What inspired you to get into physical therapy?
Well, believe it or not, I actually spent like the good portion of my years growing up as an independent professional wrestler. So I grew up in the borderland, El Paso, Texas. Here, I started doing La Lucha Libre style.
Okay.
And then I got invited to Louisville, Kentucky, where I was wrestling for Ohio Valley Wrestling. So a lot of that was just in front of a camera at all times. So I was able to be, get to know like my blocking, interact with the crowd, do some radio promos. As we got to be seen, pretty much around the world, especially in the Midwest. And really it was when I had my first severe injury at Ohio Valley Wrestling. I was doing a backflip off the top rope. And when I landed kind of funny. And just my knee just snapped in half.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the audience heard the giant pop, and I just tumbled on the
Yikes.
floor. And so it's just... I went to the back, and it was kind of like those army movies where like someone gets blown up, like to be graphic, and then like there's that guy trying to put his guts back into his stomach, and I'm like, hey, I could stand, guys, and then I just toppled again.
Yikes.
So I tore my ACL, my PCL, my MCL, meniscus, all in one shot, and then from there it was like, I didn't feel like Superman anymore. It's like, what do I do now? So I was depressed. I went to therapy.
Yeah.
And just being around the care of the therapist there is like, hey, you know what? That was so well taken care of. I was back in the ring in 6 months. Like, you know what? This is something I want to do also. I want to give back because there's so much injuries in professional wrestlers, especially in the independent scene. And there's not a whole lot of guidance because we're just pretty much independent contractors.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I know we're supposed to talk about physical therapy, but I feel like probably we're going to talk most of this hour now about lucha libre wrestling. You know how like when you go to the circus and you see like a elephant walking across the tightrope right at the top, the elephant's doing its tightrope act.
You're calling me an elephant, though.
Yeah, no. and then there's a guy. He's at the end of the trunk of the elephant, and he's balancing on the trunk of the elephant, and he's like blindfolded, and he's juggling flaming swords. You know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you're watching this guy, and you're like, how do you get into that kind of thing? And so what I'm leading up to is, how do you get into lucha libre?
You know what? I was always a huge fan of like video games, and like I really didn't like play into sports. I was just a nerdy kid, who loved video games. And I was kind of just walking around an arcade, and I saw WrestleMania, the arcade game, and I just got so excited seeing all these characters because it played a lot like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, and then I just got so hooked on just playing it. I'm gonna watch wrestling the next week, and then I started getting caught up, and I was looking at classic wrestling, and then I was lucky enough to see that there was a local lucha libre show, and I waited by the entrance. I looked for anyone to give me attention. I actually met the trainer, and then it was just brutal ever since. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, you're young, you see something on a video game, and you're like, I want to do this in real life.
Exactly.
Which is one of the dangers of some video games. Not what we're talking about right now, but you chose a fairly benign activity, wrestling. So WrestleMania, you're here in El Paso, And so Lucha Libre is the thing here.
Exactly.
How would you describe Lucha Libre to folks who are not from El Paso, might be listening in, not from the borderland? What is the difference between WrestleMania, I guess, like classic, I'm going to call it Hulk Hogan style,
Sure.
and Lucha Libre?
Well, I mean, there's several different styles of wrestling, and not many people who are not familiar with it are going to see, hey, look, this is the same kind of product. Lucha Libre, it's still a spectacle. It's still a sports entertainment. There's just a lot more acrobatics in there. There's a lot less what we call a bump, which is like landing on someone's back or taking a blunt force to the head. But it does happen from time to time. But because we're doing so many acrobatics, there is a high level of risk, to either land a certain way or make sure you don't just fall on the floor. And a lot of it, because we're telling a story in the ring, it relies on, the other person to be physically fit as well to be able to support or catch or any of that.
Sure.
So a lot of it's, like martial arts as far as learning how to protect yourself when you fall down, learning how to roll and get up. And it does take its toll. There's been plenty of times where I was wrestling with 2 sprained ankles. I dislocated my jaw one time, so I had to set it back in place. I mean, I've had it all.
Right. Okay. And in Lucha Libre, I guess the very obvious visible thing is you're wearing a mask.
I actually never wore a mask. I just let the hair down, actually.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. But most Lucha Libres
sure.
wearing a mask, but you were willing to expose your identity, I suppose.
Exactly.
Okay. And then you went to the Ohio Valley, and was that more WrestleMania style?
Yeah. I mean, Ohio Valley Wrestling is more what they call a Memphis style. It's more comical. It's more like, hey, he's pulling my hair, kind of thing. And it's a lot slower paced, but, you take a lot more slams and there's a lot more impact to the body. So eventually, after taking so many slams over the years, my back is like a turtle shell. You could slap it, I won't feel it.
Oh, wow. You've lost the nerve feeling in
I
your
mean,
back?
I still feel it, but it's just I develop just a high tolerance for pain that I don't really feel much at that point. But by that being said, because of all the damage, all the compression I've done with all the slams and getting hit with a chair in the head, it kind of stunted me a little bit. So I think I was at one point like 5'7". Now I'm like maybe like 5'5" now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's I guess it's okay to say that's funny, but probably isn't funny when you're being hit over the head with a chair.
Exactly.
Okay, so but you didn't have a background in wrestling. Your only background is you went to an arcade.
And then I did have like a high school varsity wrestling, which helped me to kind of like get in shape, and of course made me obsess over my weight after that. But it was like it's nothing compared to like what you see in WWE, where you're not getting slammed. It's like you can get pinned very easily. So it's a lot of conditioning, a lot of having to weight management and strength, and be able to overcome your opponent.
Okay, so you're there in the Ohio Valley. You did is it a triple suplex? What's the name of what happened when you jumped?
It was.
I'm just making stuff up.
So anyway,
and you blow up your knee.
Yeah. So it was a unique move that I used to do, where I would like just run up to the top rope and just as fast as possible, and then I would do a backflip over the opponent, and then while in the middle air, I would catch his arm and I would hook him for an arm drag. It looks very pretty when you do it, but I mean...
Yeah, I saw Kenny and the board do that once in the control room. It's a dangerous move, even on radio, but especially... Okay, so something went wrong.
Something went wrong. It's one of those things that when you're growing up, no one really teaches you. Maybe physical education teachers will teach you, hey, this is how you learn how to jump.
Okay.
And when I jumped, I just kind of locked my knees. But I locked my knees in a way where I landed on maybe the inner portion, like the big toe side of my foot, what we call like the medial side of that. Right. And so when I did, it just kind of caved in on itself and just destroyed everything.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So fast forward, I assume you have surgery, you go into physical therapy. What was like unexpected for you when you started your physical therapy?
Well, I mean, being like a young man, at that time, and of course, everything got taken out. I mean, that was all my hopes and dreams in there. So, of course, I was bitter. I was angry. I probably was not the best patient at all because I was giving them pushback, say, I could be back, I can do it. It was very humbling. And just that level of compassion, say, hey, look, you're doing okay. You just got to pace yourself.
Okay.
And they were understanding and say, hey, look, we know he's got some goals to get back in the ring. So let's do what we can to adjust this program as we can while still maintaining the doctor's protocol. And then just, it was just that level of compassion. And they always made sure I was taken care of. They always made sure that I was happy. And they stuck with me, and they tolerated all of my mood swings at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I assume that's a common theme for people going through therapy. Their physical therapy, they're in a situation that they didn't expect to be in, which creates an emotional pressure. You were going through that. I mean, what was it like in the movies where you're barely getting up and then they're saying, come on, come on? I mean, is that what it's like?
Absolutely. I mean, it's very much, like an 80s montage, kind of thing. Like, oh, he's got to get better. Every little bit gets stronger and stronger, and they're motivating you.
Rocky 12.
Exactly.
Okay, but there was a few things I'm hearing here. One is the compassion of the physical therapist. The other is they're following protocols prescribed by a physician. And then they're also listening to you that you have goals.
Exactly.
Okay, so is that the same situation for what you do today when you're providing physical therapy?
Absolutely. I mean, anytime a surgeon is going to do a surgery, he's essentially going in, cutting you open, for lack of better words, and putting his signature into your body and saying, look, this is my work. You got to make sure that you take care of it, because otherwise, if you make a mistake or if you do too much, too fast, you're going to destroy everything we just did. We got to go back in there again. And it's just, there's always a tendency to put blame on somebody else.
Right.
And if a patient, gets re-hurt and gets hurt again, they think, oh, you know what? It's because the surgery was wrong or the therapy was wrong. And they're going to blame everyone else but themselves.
Yeah.
So that's why it's super important to stick to that protocol. That being said, we have our staff who are trained to look at the protocol, and there's certain exercises that are appropriate given that certain phase of where we're at in that surgery, and there's a little wiggle room we can, as long as it's still safe,
right?
And then we still have to listen to the goals, and we have to explain, hey, look, maybe this first part of the phase after your surgery, it's going to be a little on the boring side, but we're here with you. We're going to try our best to make it fun, and you're going to see that even if we're doing the same exercise maybe once or twice a week, you're going to be able to do a little bit more each time. And each week, you're going to have a little bit of progression, and we have to stay on top of that progression each time.
Love it. If you're just joining us with Randy Gutierrez, he is a physical therapist at Border Therapy Services here in El Paso. And I think he has the distinct honor of being the first Lucha Libre guest on this broadcast. Also, this is episode 250 of 915 Talk. The joke I've been saying is some people started it not knowing what it was, and it just keeps on going on and on and on. It's the 915 Talk show, where we learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory. We do need to go into a break. This is the part of the program where I remind all of you, our faithful, wonderful listeners, that 915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media. The website is just that, desertvoice.media, and you can listen to this or any previous 915 Talk conversation there. Shout out to everyone who has subscribed to us on YouTube, follows us on Facebook. Also, we are available pretty much anywhere you listen to a podcast. So if you're going on a road trip, it would be a fun way to spend those hours going down I-10 or I-25 or wherever you're going. Look up the 915 Talk podcast, kind of look through those episodes, find a few that are interesting to you, and you'll find that trip just flies by. Again, thank you to all of you who listen, who share about this broadcast with your friends. It is my honor, and I really to host this, and I really, really enjoy it. And 250 episodes has just flown by. Looking forward to 250 more. We're going into a break. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
915 Talk is listener supported and is a production of Desert Voice Media. That's right. It's people just like you who make this program possible. Together with Desert Voice, you can learn how to better serve our neighbors and pray for our community. To become a Desert Voice Media partner, you can visit desertvoice.media. That's right, that's the website, desertvoice.media. Take a look and join us today in reaching our borderland for Christ.
915.
Testify.
I actually wasn't giving all praise and honor to God or Jesus Christ, but little by little I started seeing things that were just not right. And it was by listening to your radio station. The Bible is what made me realize I was a bad and evil person. I was wicked. I would like to tell you how I came upon this station. I used to work for a concrete company, and we were working on 24-hour shifts, and my truck was assigned to somebody at night. So when I came in the morning, they changed all my stations. And so I had my stations already programmed. So I was changing it, and I came upon KLP. I left it there because they called me into dispatch to go get my ticket. And when I came back, I just kept listening to it, and from that time, I never changed the radio. I left it on KLP. If I never heard this radio station, who knows, I probably would have still been lost, still living in this darkness.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb.
And by the word of their testimony.
Desertvoice.media.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
We are back, and you are listening to 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Frecka. Today we're with, he's with Border Therapy Services. More importantly, he is a former Lucha Libre wrestler, Randy Gutierrez, and super fun conversation, of course, about the wrestling background, but also really cool to hear just how you saw that compassion in the moment where you blew up your knee from the physical therapist, and you saw a future for yourself providing the therapy for others. What does it look like rehabbing a knee? And I'm sure it's different for different people with specific issues, but what are some of those? What does a therapy session look like?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it really depends. I mean, in this case, it was like an ACL tear or PCL. As soon as they have the surgery, I mean, it's immediately they have to start keeping it moving somehow. They have to manage the swelling, which is going to be a ton of swelling. There's a ton of atrophy that happens. So you immediately lose just about all that muscle that you might have had.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's very disheartening seeing yourself in the mirror and just see just a skinny little leg versus a big leg kind of thing. So that's, it's having to deal with those. So
Right. Kenny on the board has that problem, and he doesn't even have any knee problems. But
yeah. So priority, like as soon as we have that is, okay, we got to establish, quad control. So being able to straighten your leg out, because usually after surgery, they're kind of locked at a certain degree where they may have a brace on, and they have to keep the brace on for a certain amount of time, and they have just no control over it right now.
Oh, wow.
Because of all that atrophy and also just protecting that surgical site, that we have to develop that. So there might be use of what we call with electrical stimulation. It's a Russian protocol.
Okay.
Where they put like a 10-second on, 10-second off, and it's just using electrodes on the quad to be able to just activate it, and they do exercise concurrent with it.
A Russian protocol.
Russian protocol.
Okay. All right.
And so that being said, it's a way to kind of help get that quad activation in incorporation with other things we do to kind of help straighten that leg out. A lot of it's just range of motion. If there's a protocol that says, hey, we only can do maybe 90 degrees for a certain amount of weeks, we have to stick with that just to preserve that surgery site. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, a lot of it is, once we start progressing that, we start doing like a weight shifting into like a parallel bars, learning how to just put a little bit of pressure on it once they get clearance to be able to do so. And they'll still be using the parallel bars for support, or the use of crutches. I
think the parallel bars is kind of like the mental image everyone has of a physical therapy facility. Mm-hmm. Kind of like, I don't know, the centerpiece, these parallel bars, you get up on there and you're getting tired, you're halfway down, and the physical therapist is saying, come on. But what you're saying is, before you even get to that point, you have to prove that you can put any weight on it.
Exactly.
Because again, the injured leg has atrophied so much. Not only can you not put weight on it, you don't have control of it.
Mm-hmm. And what's eventually when they start getting that control is that they'll eventually just be kind of limited, just kind of walking in a straight line. And even when they start progressing to learning how to run again, it's only be a straight line because that twisting, pivoting motion is might rip it apart again. So having to be that super cautious where they'll have to be that brace for a while. So it's having to relearn a lot of things at home about how to maneuver. Even if you're like washing the dishes and you turn and put something away and you twist your knee and you start tumbling down because you're just forgetting that you have to just accommodate just for these lack of movements at the time.
Okay, so it took you 6 months only to get back in the ring. That sounds really fast.
That was pretty aggressive, actually. And then that really depends on the type of surgery, there was a lot of work done on my knee. And it's the type of protocol that might have been used. This was done in Louisville, Kentucky at the time, whereas over here, the protocols are a little bit different. Now, considering my particular goals was a lot of twisting, turning, running, jumping, a lot of high-intensity intervals as far as my cardio, it was pretty intense what they had to put me through, but it was also because I was willing to put in the work as well. Now, that being said, we have some patients who say, hey, look, I'm ready to go, but they don't know their own limitations. And now, because there are so many new evidence-based protocols right now, say, look, in order to make sure that we retain this surgery site and make sure there's no re-injury, we probably have to push this process out maybe 23, 32 weeks. So they're going to be with us for a while.
Gotcha. Okay, so how much depends on the patient and how much depends on the therapist?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. Most of the time, when we receive an order, it's going to say 2 to 3 weeks for maybe 6 weeks. And before we start asking for more, the doctor says thumbs up. So that's maybe 2 or 3 hours in 1 week that they're coming to see me. They're coming to see my staff. After that, what are they doing with the rest of their time during the day? They have to stay on it. They have to move it on their own. It can't just be, we're only not even 5% of their therapy. We're there to give guidance. We're there to be supportive. We end up playing counselors from time to time because we'll sit there, we'll cry with you, and we'll teach you the mechanics, we'll teach you the instructions. But at the end of the day, a lot of it is going to boil down to the patient and how willing they are to put in that extra work at home.
Right. So it sounds like you put in a lot of extra work when you were rehabbing your knee to get back that quickly. How much time were you putting in a day or a week?
During that time, I wasn't able to work. Wrestling was my only source of income at that time. And when I wasn't doing that, I said, okay, well, let me try to get a real job, which was challenging. And I had to go and work at as a management job somewhere else. But it was, in the morning, I put maybe 2 hours just trying to bend the knee and just trying to stretch it out, trying to do a little bit of what those quads says, those long arc quads, just trying to straighten the knee and just like a leg extension. And if I was able to do a little bit of maybe some baby squats into a full squat eventually, just from what we call a sit to stand, just standing up from a chair and sitting right back down and just repeat. I was just doing it nonstop.
How much does nutrition play into this?
It really does play a lot. If you heavier set individuals do have a harder time because all that gravity does kind of push down on that knee. So it's about maintaining, even though we might be working on a knee, it's also, hey, let's also work on some core work to keep your overall fitness involved. But the nutrition part of it is, certain foods will cause more inflammation. So there are also, like my wife, for example, she is allergic to beef. I never heard of that, but that would cause inflammation as well, and that might cause more swelling.
Okay, and then there's not some secret potion that would that you could eat that would speed up the process?
I think if you have just a sensible meal and not just go binging on fast food, you should be okay. And if that's something that you would talk to a nutritionist or even just ask the doctor, up front.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's interesting you're talking about two things that are super obvious that I wasn't even thinking of. One is if you lose some weight, it's going to get easier for you.
Absolutely.
And the second part is if you're eating something that's inflaming, then that's not going to serve you well either while you're rehabbing.
Yeah. And plus, it's also about staying hydrated. Also, maybe because there's once we start moving these muscles a little bit more and retraining the body, there's going to be cramping. There's going to be a lot of soreness. So, staying hydrated, maybe watching your your potassium levels. So like having bananas to kind of help some of that cramping and speed that up a little bit.
Okay. If you're just joining us, we're with Randy Gutierrez. What was your Lucha Libre name?
So actually, it's my last name cut in half. So it was, instead of Gutierrez, it was Terez. So Randy Terez.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. And he's also now a physical therapist at Border Therapy Services here in El Paso. I had reached out to Border Therapy. I guess it was a couple months ago. I was having some excruciating back pain, and after one session, I got a lot of help with the McKinsey method. We had another program talking about that. But the phone number for Border Therapy is 915-455-9143. 915-455-9143. So we talked about the McKinsey method last time. Today we're talking just about these therapies after trauma, really. And also it's kind of cool to hear about Randy's personal journey of being in wrestling, being in Lucha Libre, hurting himself, and then finding out really how powerful having a good physical therapist is, and then deciding to follow in that journey. We're going to continue on this conversation, but first we have Charlie One on the phone. Charlie One, what are you seeing out on the roads this afternoon?
Lots going on right now, Andy. I'm looking at right now. It's quite a mess there. I-10 West and Lee Trevino, we have a collision now. What they're doing, all lanes are closed there at I-10 West and Lee Trevino. So what they're doing is they're exiting traffic at the Lee Trevino exit and issuing it onto the gateway there. So count on those gateways really being stacked up. And then to boot, so the traffic is backed up to Joe Battle, even past. But on the other side, looky-loos, spectator delays, that traffic is backed up to Yarborough to the Lee Trevino exit. But that's just looky-loos. Going down to look at the accident there. That's I-10 West Lee Trevino, really going to tying it up, snarling the traffic there. Aside from that, Gateway West at East Lake, crash, right 2 lanes blocked right there. It's caution in that area. So it's quite busy right there and all stacked up there, Andy.
Charlie One, a lot going out on the roads this afternoon. Our guest this afternoon told me that when he came to the studio, he got caught in the traffic you just mentioned. So there is quite a lot going out on the roads. Now, our guest this afternoon is Randy Gutierrez. He's with Border Therapy Services. But before that, he was in a Lucha Libre wrestler. And I know for a lot of our Lucha Libre wrestlers, before they enter the ring, they like to try the Borderlands Breakfast of Champions. Where would you recommend all Lucha Libre wrestlers get that bowl of the Breakfast of Champions before getting into the ring?
Well, I'll tell you what, not only that is it delicious, but it's not something heavy like having a hamburger, a steak, cheeseburger, pizza, things like that. It's nutritious. It's going to satisfy the hunger, but it doesn't. It's actually called the poor man's soup. So imagine that it's a soup, but it's got the hominy, and it's really delicious, a little bit spicy, but very good. You can pick it up at Eastside Choice Meats, Silverland and Traywood. They have it in containers, so that just take it home, and whenever you want to, you can heat it up in the microwave. And that's at Eastside Choice Meats, Silverland and Traywood, Andy.
Thank you, Charlie Wood. We'll talk soon.
You bet.
What I find that's hilarious about that is you didn't mention what the Breakfast of Champions is. Do you know what it is, Randy?
No, not at all.
A bowl of menudo. So if you want a bowl of homemade menudo, you can go to Eastside Choice Meats, pick it up. And is that what you usually tried before entering the ring?
Not that, actually. That was pretty heavy with me, actually.
That's funny. Okay, so we talked a lot about knees. That was your personal journey. The one that's interesting to me when it comes to physical therapy is the joint that I understand is maybe the most complicated joint in the body. I might be wrong on that. I've heard that somewhere, but it's the shoulder.
Absolutely. Well, the thing about the shoulder, I mean, think about a knee. The knee's going to go. It's going to bend. It's going to extend. But you have this shoulder that has so much mobility. You can go up the side, reach overhead, go reach around your back, reach behind your head. There's so much mobility, but the trade-off, there's not a whole lot of strength behind it. The stability is the big issue. So once we have like a tear going on there, I mean, one, it's going to be excruciatingly painful. And having to maintain that, and if there's any kind of surgical intervention that goes through that, they're going to be in there for a long haul.
Okay. All right. So I had an acquaintance who thought that she would have to have shoulder surgery. She ended up taking care of it with therapy. How is it that, and nothing in this broadcast is in any way to be construed as medical advice, informational purposes only. We're just two guys talking. Reach out to a licensed professional. I'll give all the disclaimers. But what are some of the markers in your experience where therapy versus surgery?
I think what I'd really ask, the first question is like, what is their previous level of function before? I mean, are they an athlete? Are they just, they're in their 60s or 70s, and all they're really doing is they're just cleaning around the house. Maybe they go visit their family. Maybe they hang out with a grandchild, and that's really all they're doing. They're doing anything too strenuous. They're not really they're not at the gym lifting weights. If it's one of those, then we have to say, okay, well, are you able to tolerate having a little bit of pain from time to time and just manage it with some stretching? Maybe you manage it with your medication at home, like your normal Aleve or ibuprofen. If you're able to do that and still function well, then therapy might be the way to go.
Oh, interesting. So that's actually almost the opposite of what I think a lot of people would think. I think I would think, if you're older, then you probably need the surgery. If you're younger, you probably need the therapy. And if you're an athlete, the therapy will work. But really what you're saying is almost exactly the opposite. If you're older and you're not doing any Ironman triathlons, you're not weightlifting, you're not a lucha libre wrestler, all of those things, then you might be able to make therapy work.
Absolutely. I mean, it's always a case by case,
Sure.
So we can't just sit there with just a big list of exercises. Hey, look, this is going to work for you. It's because everything has to be tailored to the patient. And if the patient says, hey, this is doing well, and even though I wasn't doing anything strenuous, I kind of want to go back to the gym now because I'm motivated, then we have to, reassess things and we modify the plan as we go along. So, and then eventually they might say, hey, the pain's still there, so what do you think I should do? And hey, let's talk to the doctor. And if they recommend that it's time for a surgery, then we'll go that route as well.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So am I right to understand that a patient doesn't have to go to a doctor first?
It really depends on the insurance. So that we have what's called direct access.
Okay.
So that means that they can, come in and they could have an eval. You could still come in there as a self-pay. They pay a self-pay price. That varies from clinics everywhere.
Sure.
And with the direct access, usually you're limited to about 10 visits.
Okay.
You get your eval, you come in and see if you have any success with it. But after that, it's time to go see a doctor to get a formal referral to get, because we could see things, but ultimately having the benefits of a doctor who could provide imaging, MRIs, X-rays, get a clearer picture of what's going on in there, and that way we can progress the patient safely.
Right. Yeah, I found that to be interesting when I came in. I met with John Hawk. He's at the Border Therapy location on Murchison. He was able to do a mechanical evaluation of what was causing this really, really horrible back pain. But it was nice not to have to go through a whole battery of MRIs. Now, if that hadn't worked, meeting with him the first time, then I could have done it that way. But I think a lot of people immediately run out for the MRI, the doctor, and all of that, where maybe a quick trip to the physical therapist would clear up some of these issues.
Yeah. And on top of that, you also have some doctors who have to kind of play along with the insurance rules. And some insurances are going to say, hey, look, you know what, let's go to therapy first. If therapy's not working, let's do an X-ray. If X-ray, and go back to therapy. If that doesn't work, maybe we'll get you an MRI. So it really depends on the insurance sometimes.
Right. Love it. Again, we're with Randy Gutierrez. He's with Border Therapy Services. But we do have another phone call in. We have our good friend Patrick Tuttle on the phone. Patrick, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm great, Andy. How are you?
I must confess my vocabulary is painfully poverty-stricken to describe the wonder and joy of this educational journey that I've embarked upon. But
yeah, two P's right beside each other.
That's right. For those listeners who don't recognize the name or the voice, Patrick Tuttle has been on this program, I guess, a few times. He's with Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate. And Patrick, you have an event coming up on March 28th.
That we do, and you have signed up for that. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
We have a house for every child, a free educational seminar designed to teach people how one investment property can pay for college, weddings, or a head start in life.
Okay, sounds like a get-rich-quick scheme.
No, it is not a get-rich-quick scheme. In fact, it took me over 23 years to see the plan through. And what we'll talk about in the seminar is how we turned one investment property into not one, but two weddings in the fourth quarter of 2025 for our two daughters.
Right.
So it is not a get-rich-quick scheme by any chance. It is all designed to have a plan and execute that plan.
Right. And I of course am saying that a little jokingly. I know it's I don't know if we want to call it get rich slow either, but it's very it's a very sober but clear path to accumulating some assets. Patrick, give us the info on the seminar.
So we're going to be at the Hilton Garden Inn Airport on Saturday, the 28th of March. Our seminar will begin at 11 a.m., and it will continue until about 12:30. So it's about 90 minutes total, and that's only if I get long-winded. I plan on being done somewhere around 75, 80 minutes, but then have time for questions and answers.
Right.
The seminar is being sponsored by Canopy Mortgage,
okay,
State Farm, Tom Silverthorne, Lone Star Title, and Ram Construction at this point. So we've got some good contractors, some great contractors that'll be there to speak with people about renting property, owning property, repairing property, buying property. So all designed to teach, again, how one investment property can pay for college, weddings, or a head start in life.
All right. Sounds high pressure, Patrick.
Not at all. We're here to answer questions. So, and by the way, Andy, you're going to be there.
Yes,
you
sir.
Signed up for it.
Yep.
You and your bride said, hey, we'd like to explore this. Maybe our kids are a little bit old for it, but now you've got grandkids, and maybe it's the right thing for you and grandkids. But you'll get to come and ask us questions, and we will guide you to the right decision for you and your family. It's not about high pressure. It's about, hey, how can I get the answers that I want about owning investment property in a stress-free, pressure-free environment?
All right, absolutely, Patrick. I appreciate it. For those who are interested, you can go to kelpradio.com, scroll down to that Impact Partner section, click on Coldwell Banker Heritage, and it'll take you right to the House for Every Child, where you can sign up just like my wife Rachel and I did. We're looking forward to it, March 28th. Just 90 minutes learning about a potential opportunity. So, Patrick, appreciate it.
Thanks, Andy. I appreciate you having me on this afternoon. Look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Yes, sir. We'll talk later. And we're back. We're with Randy Gutierrez, talking all things related to physical therapy. Randy is with Border Therapy Services. Like I was saying before the break, helped me out a ton. I've told this story a couple times on this broadcast because it was so excruciating, but I had neck pain going down my arm. My hand was numb. And part of what I learned by coming into physical therapy was just when I'm on this broadcast, I'm listening to the guest, hopefully intently, but I had really bad posture as I was listening. And that's why it would especially become bad while I was on air. And I love the fact that I didn't get into this long series of testing, physical tests, doctor visit after doctor visit. Not saying it's bad to go to the doctor at all, but it helped me in that particular situation. So really appreciate the folks at Border Therapy Services. But again, we were talking about shoulders, Randy, and you're just saying there's some very basic questions you can look at when someone has that shoulder pain.
Absolutely. I always say, what are you doing before? Like, what are your goals are? Because, sometimes their goals that they just want to not have pain, which is usually the most common thing.
Sure.
And it's just, we have to kind of assess, like, okay, let's talk about what you're doing in your daily life. And then we can kind of add some of these little gentle exercises. A lot of it's just stretching that we kind of incorporate first, like keeping that mobility, because once we have an injury, it's like, hey, it's like, okay, this hurts. I don't want to move it anymore. So, and then there's a unfortunate thing that if you don't want to move your shoulder, you might develop what's called frozen shoulder or adhesive capsulitis, which will stick with you for a very long time, and it becomes incredibly painful. That could also be compounded if you have any kind of like rotator cuff tears or anything else. It could also be there, and it's just another problem on top of that, which is going to make that process even more excruciatingly long for you.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And again, it's a lot of times I think when someone is experiencing that kind of pain, it can feel overwhelming and we can overcomplicate it in our mind. But you're just giving some really, really basic questions to ask to start off with that might provide some direction for moving forward. I don't even know if you could answer this, but are more of your patients young or old? Like, what would you say your average age is?
I have a pretty wide variety, honestly, and I really enjoy the population that we do have, at my my clinic. So, like I said, I'm the clinic director at the John Hayes Clinic.
Okay.
So we're able to see just a wide variety of all ages, and we accept all different kinds of insurance as well. So a lot of our athletes are there, young kids, college athletes. We have older patients. So you're seeing everything there, and each one of them has that unique experience, and each one of them, they want a certain level of care. Some of them just, hey, give me the exercises and leave me alone kind of thing, because they're working through it.
Sure.
And some of them just need a little bit more of that TLC, where they say, hey, you know what, I'm having some trouble. Can you help me with that?
Yeah.
So, and I really enjoy performing manual therapy. I put a little hands-on touch. Look, I'm letting you know that I'm here and I'm with you through this. And even though it might hurt, I'm going to guide you through it a little bit. And we kind of break some barriers that way.
Right. Okay. So Border Therapy has, I think, 17 locations. You're at the John Hayes Center over on the Far East Pebble Hills Boulevard. But I guess folks can reach out to Border Therapy through their central phone number and find out the best location for them. But we do need to take another break. This is the part of the program where KELP Radio likes to thank all of its impact partners. These are local businesses, churches, nonprofits, educational institutions that have joined us in our journey to serve our borderland community through radio ministry. And of course, today, the impact partner we're going to highlight is Border Therapy Services. Again, super grateful to them for helping me out personally. And super great to have these conversations like with Randy today to learn a little bit more just how our bodies work and maybe what some of the options are. The number for Border Therapy Services is 915-455-9143. 915-455-9143. We're going to go into a break. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
Greetings, KELP listeners. My name is Terry Gray, and I have the joy and privilege of serving as the pastor of Calvary Chapel Sun City, located on the west side of El Paso. I also have the joy of connecting with the radio audience in the borderland through the Summons broadcast heard each weekday at 5 p.m. right here on this station. On Summons, we study the Bible book by book, chapter by chapter, verse by verse, precept by precept. Please join us each weekday at 5 p.m. for Summons right here on KELP.
You can now feed your mind, feed your soul by listening to KELP Radio on your Alexa device. Just say, "Hey Alexa, play KELP Radio."
Greetings, KELP listeners. This is Terry Gray, pastor of Calvary Chapel Sun City and speaker on the Summons broadcast heard each weekday at 5 p.m. right here on this station. Calvary Chapel Sun City is located at 960 West Borderland Road on the west side of El Paso. We hold services on Wednesday evenings at 7 and on Sunday mornings at 9 and 11. If you are without a church home, we would love to have you join us for worship and Bible study. You can find out more information about us on the web at www.ccsuncity.org.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
And we are back. You are listening to 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Frecka. Today we're with Randy Gutierrez. He's with Border Therapy Services here in El Paso. We've talked, Randy, about, I don't know, shoulders, knees, lucha libre. But I'm getting older, Randy, and there was like this word I'd see out there, and people would like talk about it, and like, oh, it hurts, and I was like, that's weird. That never happened to me. And also recently, it happened to me for the first time. I guess I'm just starting to fall apart, but it's sciatica. So why does that happen?
That's actually one of like the number one things we see besides the knees, besides the shoulders. It's sciatica, and a lot of it comes down to just our bad posture. A lot of it's from sitting down at a desk for such a long time. It's from compensatory movements. Maybe we're just kind of standing at a desk all day, and we kind of lean to one side. And then, we start kind of like, our muscles just kind of tighten up on one side and start pulling and shifting things around. And it might actually, pinch on that nerve. So it could be, coming from a number of reasons. It could be that there's some disc compression that might be happening, a disc herniation that might be pushing on that nerve. And there's also times where it's just a lot of muscle tension around the gluteus muscles, around that, especially the piriformis muscle.
Okay.
They'll kind of pinch on that, and that causes that like numbness and tingling going down the leg.
All right. So I didn't expect you to say just posture. How am I sitting wrong?
A lot of what it is, we get comfortable because we have these long days, especially at work. We kind of start leaning and slouching into our chair a little bit. And so that natural curve in our spine kind of starts
like
to kind
lower
of,
spine.
Exactly.
Okay.
It starts to kind of go away, it starts to straighten out, and it starts pushing against those nerves and then it's just causing that little shocks and waves going down.
Oh, I thought the pain was coming because I was training for the Ironman triathlon. Not really, but no, that's interesting. And then, so if someone comes in for sciatica, you're not putting them on the parallel bars.
I mean, there could be different ways. There's different approaches. Because sometimes when you have a patient with sciatica, they have that sensation where everything goes numb in their leg. So I would absolutely put them on parallel bars and teach them how to, do a single leg stance and see if they could balance on it, see if they could tolerate a certain, maybe like a tandem stance, one foot in front of the other, see if they can handle it so they can make sure they're not going to tip over. So they could definitely have that. But a lot of it they'll get is a lot of stretching to make sure they could, loosen up these very tense muscles. A lot of it's just neuromuscular re-education, teaching how to, have some core stability. So it could be like a pelvic tilt or, or a bird dog, dead bug, all these core activation movements that we can do to strengthen the muscles around the back. Having a strong stomach will always equal a strong back.
Strong muscles will always equal a strong back. So you're building up like torso muscles?
Absolutely.
Okay.
See, but it doesn't just end there because we'll also focus on building up from the waist down.
Okay.
Because once we have a patient who might have poor posture, chances are they may have some deficiencies and deficits in their legs as well.
Okay. So I did not realize the whole leg could go numb. I just had kind of the bad pain in my lower back and going down into the leg. How debilitating can this become?
It really can, be pretty intense. I've actually had it before, and that was a result of a severe impact. I told you with the history with wrestling, I fell down pretty hard, and it just, because of that repetitive slamming, it actually, caused like a disc herniation. And that caused the sciatica, and it just made everything go numb. So numbness and tingling, that feeling of like ants kind of biting you, and it's just having to learn how to like readjust things a little bit. Sometimes what happens is, because the muscles around your low back are so tight, maybe one side's kind of pulling up a little bit, and it's actually rotating your pelvis a little bit. So it creates what we call a leg length discrepancy. So one leg is longer than the other.
Yeah, I think Kenny on the board has that issue as well. But okay, so how many times, if let's say, this is always my question, and I know there's not one answer, but I think for a lot of like medical treatment, there can kind of be this concern or cynicism that I'm going to start going and then I'm going to be going forever. So, like, how long am I going to be coming to Border Therapy Services if I have a really bad sciatica situation?
It really just depends, honestly. It depends on how severe it is. There are some patients who are coming in because it's mostly just muscular tension around the nerve. Sometimes it could be like there's a disc herniation, and strengthening the muscles around there might be able to tolerate your life for a little longer. But we're as we're getting older. I mean, after 25, everything kind of goes downhill sometimes.
Yeah.
So
sad but true.
Yeah. So there could be arthritis in the back, and that could start making things even worse, and it could worsen the situation where the doctor may have to intervene, and then we have a surgery, and then we're kind of back to it. So it really depends if once the pain starts feeling well, if you're willing to maintain the exercises after that and to maintain your healthy lifestyle.
Okay. All right. So super fun to have these conversations. When you were living, let's talk a little bit about El Paso. It's your home. You've chosen to live here. You're the director of a location for Border Therapy Services. When you were doing lucha libre wrestling in the Ohio Valley in Kentucky, what is one thing you missed about El Paso?
Besides the food,
yeah,
I guess everywhere I've traveled to when it comes to wrestling, it was just the people. The culture here. It's so everyone feels like family. And when you come into our clinic, we treat them as family as well. And they come to us. They give us thank you cards. They come give us big hugs. And we talk to them like we're just talking to a brother or sister or maybe a grandmother. And that's something that has always stood out about El Paso, is that just how close we are to each other.
Yeah, love it. And what is maybe one of the main challenges of being the director of a Border Therapy Service location?
Well, I think the biggest challenge right now is because my clinic, we're young in the physical therapy world. Myself and one of the other PTAs, we're about 2 years after our graduation. I have a physical therapist named Rachel Santiago, who's amazing, but she's also pretty young. She's about 1 year just after graduation. So we're bringing a bunch of new knowledge in here, but we're also having to establish that trust that, hey, we know what we're doing. So having those interactions with doctors that have already been around El Paso and treating others, if they're going to be able to put that trust into my location.
Right. And so you're motivated, of course, to build that trust.
Absolutely.
I could see that just by people in radio land can't see that, but you definitely, coming from the wrestling world, you have that competitive sense about you. What would you see? So what you're saying is your competitive advantage is you're young, you're fresh, you have the most recent training.
Absolutely. So we come with the newest, evidence-based knowledge, that has been, established. Yeah, because the stuff that we might have learned 10 years ago has evolved. Some stuff might not work. Some stretching might not work. Some different protocols are kind of obsolete. So now we're learning some new stuff. But on top of that, it's more so that it's the fact that our type, our clinic, we pride ourselves on culture. The border therapy culture. So having that different kind of energy. And we want these people to come in and enjoy therapy and not be, sitting there like, hey, I got to go to therapy. It's gonna be painful. It's gonna hurt all the time. But if we're having some fun, on our job, they're gonna have fun with us.
Love it. Randy, thank you so much for coming in today. Truly enjoyed this discussion. Border Therapy Services, 915-455-9143. Again, at 915-455-9143. And if you want to meet a physical therapist who's also a lucha libre wrestler, you can check out the John Hayes Center, which is for border therapy, which is out on Pebble Hills Boulevard on the far east of El Paso. Border Therapy, I believe, has 17 locations here in the borderlands. So any of our listeners can find one that's nearby. I love, particularly Randy today, how you were sharing just how you want people to feel at home and talking about the family atmosphere of El Paso you want to see in your clinic. Again, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
And as we always say, let's learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory. This has been 915 Talk. You have been listening to 915 Talk, a production of Desert Voice Media. To listen to this or any previous edition of 915 Talk, just visit desertvoice.media and click on the 915 Talk link. Let's continue to learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.
Hi, I'm John Erickson Tata, and at Family Retreats, we have activities for everyone. But for years, Tom, one of our adult campers with an intellectual disability, never